My beloved soul, pause for a moment, because what you are about to hear is not ordinary, and it is not sluchakakino. This is May 15th. Final warning. Archangel Michael says, "My child, your moment arrived, but time is running out. If you ignore this, your angels will step away tonight. Open now or it's over." These words are not here by chance. They are a direct interruption into your life, a divine message cutting through the noise of everything you were doing just seconds ago. Something in the spiritual realm has shifted, and you were chosen to hear this at the exact second you pressed play. Listen closely, because this is not just another message you can delay or come back to later. This is a once-in-a-lifetime alignment. Archangel Michael is not whispering gently this time. He is calling you urgently, with the authority of heaven behind every word. There is a reason your attention was pulled here. There is a reason you feel something stirring inside you right now, something you cannot fully explain. That feeling is recognition. Your spirit knows this is real. For a long time, you have been protected in ways you never saw. Doors that should have closed stayed open. Dangers that should have touched you were silently removed. There were moments when things almost went wrong, but they didn't. That was not luck. That was not coincidence. That was divine intervention. Archangel Michael and your guardian angels have been standing watch over your life, shielding you from battles you didn't even know were being fought. But now something is changing. This moment you are in right now was written long before today. It was marked in your spiritual timeline as a turning point, a moment where everything could shift in your favor or quietly slip away. And here is the truth that may shake you. Opportunities like this do not stay open forever. There are divine windows, and when they close, they do not reopen the same way again. You may feel tempted to brush this off, to say, "I'll think about it later," or "I'll come back to this when I have more time." But that is exactly what this message is warning you about. Time is no longer something you can take lightly. The words are clear. Your moment has arrived, but it is already beginning to pass. And hesitation is not neutral. In the spiritual realm, hesitation can be mistaken for rejection. Right now, heaven is watching, not to judge you, but to see if you will recognize what has been placed before you. This is not about fear. This is about awareness. This is about realizing that something sacred has reached out to you, and your response matters more than you think. There is a quiet urgency in the air, and you can feel it if you listen deeply. Tonight is not just another night. It carries weight. It carries consequence. And it carries a decision that only you can make. Archangel Michael is standing near, not distant, not silent, but present, waiting. Not forcing you, not controlling you, but calling you. Because what happens next depends on whether you open your heart now or turn away and risk losing what was meant for you. Tell me, can you feel it? Here is something you were never meant to see with your physical eyes, yet it has always been happening around you. A silent battle, constant and relentless, has been unfolding in the unseen realm, and at the center of it is you. Not because you are weak, but because you carry something valuable. Something assigned, protected, and watched over by forces greater than you can imagine. This is why your life has never been ordinary, even when it seemed quiet on the surface. From the very beginning, Archangel Michael has stood as a warrior over your path, not passively watching but actively defending. There were moments when confusion clouded your mind, when fear tried to take root, when situations almost collapsed beyond repair. And yet, something always intervened. You may have called it luck, timing, or coincidence, but deep down, there was always a quiet voice inside you whispering, You were protected. That voice was not your imagination. It was truth. What you did see were the countless times negative forces attempted to interfere with your direction. Delays that were meant to stop you completely. Distractions designed to pull you away from your purpose. Even certain people who entered your life carried energies that were not aligned with your destiny. But still, you made it this far. That alone is proof that you were never walking alone. However, something shifted recently. The balance that once held steady has started to move. Not because heaven has abandoned you, but because a moment of decision has arrived. In the spiritual realm, there are times when protection remains constant, and there are times when choice must take the lead. This is one of those moments. Archangel Michael has not stepped back out of absence, but out of respect for your free will. Because what comes next cannot be forced upon you. It must be accepted. You may have noticed subtle changes. A feeling that something is different, even if you can't explain it. Perhaps things that used to feel easy now feel uncertain. Perhaps there's been a strange silence where guidance once felt clear. Or a sense that time is moving faster, as if something is approaching and you're not fully prepared. These are not random feelings. These are signals. There have also been signs placed directly in your path. Repeated patterns, numbers, dreams that linger longer than usual. Moments where you felt an unexplainable pull to stop, to listen, to reflect, but you kept moving instead. Not because you didn't care, but because life can be loud, and distractions can feel urgent. Yet those quiet moments, they were invitations. Invitations you may have unintentionally overlooked. And this is where the message becomes more serious. In the spiritual realm, silence is not always neutral. When a call is sent and no response is given, it can be interpreted as a refusal, not out of punishment, but out of order. Heaven does not force itself where it is not welcomed. Archangel Michael does not impose. He protects, he guides, but he also honors your choices completely. And right now, your response is being observed more closely than ever before. This is not about fear. This is about alignment. Because what is being offered to you right now is not something small. It is not temporary. It is a shift that could redirect your path in ways you cannot yet fully see. But for that shift to happen, there must be acknowledgement. There must be awareness. There must be a willingness to stop and truly receive. The battle around you has not ended, but it has reached a moment where your awareness determines the outcome. You are no longer just being protected. You are being called to participate, to recognize, to respond. And the question now is not whether the signs were real. The question is, will you finally listen? Something inside you has always known this moment would come, even if your mind could never fully explain it. Every challenge you faced, every delay that frustrated you, every season where you felt lost or uncertain, none of it was wasted. It was all preparation. Not random, not meaningless, but intentional. You were being shaped, refined, and strengthened for this exact point in time, this moment that now stands directly in front of you, asking for your full attention. Think back for a second. There were times when you felt like giving up, when the weight of everything around you seemed too much to carry. There were moments when you questioned your path, your purpose, even your own worth. But somehow, you kept going. Even when you didn't have clear answers, something within you refused to fully break. That resilience was not just your strength, it was evidence of divine investment in your life. Archangel Michael has been preparing you in ways you did not recognize at the time. Those difficult seasons were not punishments, they were training grounds. You were being taught how to endure, how to discern, how to stand even when everything felt uncertain. Because the moment you are in now requires more than just belief. It requires awareness, courage, and a willingness to act without delay. This is why May 15th is not just another day. It is the intersection between what you have been through and what is about to unfold. It is the moment where everything you have carried, everything you have learned, everything you have survived finally aligns. But alignment does not activate on its own. It requires your response. You are not being asked to be perfect. You are not being asked to understand every detail. You are being asked to recognize what is happening and to not turn away from it. Because this is where many people miss their moment. Not because they weren't chosen, but because they hesitated. They waited for more clarity, more comfort, more certainty. And in that waiting, the window quietly closed. This is the test that no one talks about. It is not a test of knowledge. It is not a test of ability. It is a test of attention and trust. Will you acknowledge what your spirit is already feeling? Will you honor the pull inside you, even if your mind tries to question it? Or will you silence it, like so many times before, convincing yourself that it can wait? Archangel Michael is not distant right now. He is closer than you realize, watching not with judgment, but with expectation. Because he knows what has been placed within you. He knows what is ready to be activated. But activation requires agreement. It requires a moment where you say, I see this. I recognize this. I am not ignoring this. And here is the truth that may surprise you. This moment is not as complicated as it feels. It does not require a grand action or a perfect plan. It begins with awareness, with stillness, with a decision to not scroll past, to not dismiss, to not delay. Because the power of this moment lies in your willingness to fully receive it. Right now, as you are listening, something is shifting within you. A clarity, a realization, a quiet understanding that this is different. That this message is not like the others you've heard before. And that feeling is the doorway. That is where everything begins. Do not underestimate how rare this is. Do not assume it will come again in the same way. Because what is in front of you right now has been building for a long time. And once this moment passes, it does not simply reset. It moves forward, with or without your acknowledgement. So pause, breathe, and recognize where you are. Because this is your moment. Type I am ready in the comments if you feel this message deep within you. Blessing code 3947 is now activated. And as this moment reaches your spirit, understand this. When you respond, you are not just acknowledging a message, you are opening a channel for others to receive theirs as well. The seed you sow here becomes light for someone still lost in darkness. The scripture says, Give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This is not just a verse. It is a living promise speaking directly to you right now. If you feel led in this moment, do not ignore it. Act on it. Support this mission through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link placed in every video description and available as a QR code on your screen. This is your chance to become part of something greater than yourself, to help carry this message to souls who are still waiting for their sign. Say within your heart, I am answering this call. And as you give, know that heaven sees it not as a transaction, but as obedience, as alignment, as faith in action. Step into it now. There is a truth you need to hear clearly, without confusion, and without softening it. Ignoring this moment does not leave things as they are, and changes something. Not suddenly in a dramatic, visible way, but quietly, deeply, and spiritually. Because when a divine invitation is placed before you and it is left unanswered, the energy around you begins to shift. Not as punishment, but as a natural consequence of disconnection. When the message said that your angels may step away tonight, it was not meant to create fear. It was meant to awaken awareness. Angels do not abandon out of anger. They step back when their presence is no longer being acknowledged, when guidance is repeatedly overlooked, when the connection is no longer being received. It is not rejection from them. It is distance created through silence. Up until now, much of your life has been carried by unseen support. You were guided even when you did task, protected even when you were unaware, redirected even when you resisted. But there comes a moment in every spiritual journey where that silent assistance shifts into a call for conscious participation, where you are no longer just being carried, you are being asked to walk with awareness. And this is where the weight of this moment becomes real. If you ignore what is happening right now, life will not stop. You will continue moving, making decisions, going through your days. But something subtle will feel different. Doors that once opened with ease may begin to resist. Clarity that once came naturally may feel distant. The quiet sense of being guided may fade into uncertainty. Not because you are lost forever, but because you stepped out of alignment with a moment that was meant to elevate you. There are people who reach this point and choose to wait. They tell themselves they need more time, more confirmation, more understanding. But what they don't realize is that delay itself becomes a decision, and that decision carries consequences just as much as action does. Opportunities are not infinite in the way people assume. There are divine timings, specific, precise, and purposeful. When those timings pass, the same door does not always reopen. This is not about losing everything. It is about missing what was meant specifically for now. Archangel Michael understands your hesitation. He understands the way the human mind works, the need for certainty, the tendency to question, the habit of delaying what feels unfamiliar. But he also sees beyond that. He sees what is waiting for you on the other side of this moment. He sees the protection that remains available, the guidance that is ready to increase, the path that can become clearer than ever before if you choose to respond. But if you do not, he will not force your path. That is the part many struggle to accept. Divine help is powerful, but it does not override your will. It works with you, not against you. And when you choose not to engage, that help does not disappear, but it becomes distant, less active, less direct, because your silence signals that you are not ready to receive it. And tonight carries a symbolic weight. It represents a closing cycle, a moment where what has been waiting for your response reaches its limit. Not forever, but for this specific opportunity, this specific alignment, this exact preparation that has been building in your life. That is why this message feels urgent, not rushed, but precise. You may feel a tension inside you right now, a part of you wanting to fully accept this, and another part wanting to step back, to question, to hesitate. The tension is real. It is the space between action and delay. And what you do in that space matters more than you realize. Because once this moment passes, you will not be able to return to it in the same way. You will move forward, but without the same alignment, without the same open doorway that exists right now. And while new opportunities can come, this one, this exact one, belongs to this moment alone. So understand this clearly. Ignoring this is not neutral. It is a choice. And that choice shades what comes next. If you look back carefully, you will begin to realize that this moment did not appear suddenly. It has been approaching you quietly, step by step, through signs that were placed along your path with intention. Nothing about this is random. The patterns, the feelings, the repeated moments that caught your attention for just a second longer than usual, they were all part of a message that has been trying to reach you long before today. Think about the times when you noticed something repeating, numbers appearing again and again in unexpected places, or moments where you felt a strange sense of familiarity, as if something had already been shown to you before. Those were not coincidences. They were signals, gentle nudges meant to slow you down, to bring your awareness to something deeper than what your eyes could see. There may have been dreams too. Not ordinary dreams, but the kind that stayed with you after you woke up. The kind that felt meaningful, even if you couldn't fully understand why. Scenes, symbols, or emotions that lingered in your mind throughout the day. Those were not just your imagination at work. They were another layer of communication. Subtle, symbolic, but intentional. And then there were the moments of inner knowing. Times when you felt something strongly without being able to explain it logically. A pull to go in a certain direction. A feeling that something wasn't right, even when everything looked fine on the surface. Or a quiet sense that something important was about to happen, even though you had no visible proof. That inner voice has been speaking to you consistently, but it requires stillness to be heard. The challenge is that life does not always allow that stillness. Distractions come easily. Responsibilities, noise, constant movement, all of it makes it easier to overlook what is subtle. And the signs you were given were never meant to force your attention. They were meant to invite it. That is why they could be missed. Not because they were weak, but because they were respectful of your awareness. Archangel Michael has been present through all of this. Not only in the big, obvious moments, but in the smallest details you may have overlooked. Each sign was a way of reaching toward you without overwhelming you. Each repetition was a reminder that something important was unfolding. But now, those subtle signs have reached their limit. This is why the message feels stronger now. What was once gentle is now direct. What was once quiet is now clear. Because the time for subtle hints has passed, and the moment for recognition has arrived. You are no longer being guided through whispers. You are being addressed with clarity. And when you begin to connect all of these experiences together, a pattern starts to form. The repeated numbers, the meaningful dreams, the inner voice, the unexplained feelings, they all point to one truth. You were being prepared to notice this exact moment. Nothing was wasted. Even the times when you ignored those signs, even the moments when you dismissed them and moved on, they were still part of the process. Because they brought you here, to a point where the message can no longer be mistaken, where the meaning is no longer hidden behind symbols. Now it is direct. Now it is clear. And now, it requires your attention in a way that cannot be postponed. You may feel a sense of realization building inside you as you reflect on all of this. A quiet recognition that something deeper has been happening all along. That your life has been guided more than you allowed yourself to believe. And that realization is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to awaken you. Because once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. Once you recognize the signs, they no longer feel random. And once you understand that this moment was prepared for you, it becomes impossible to treat it as something ordinary. So take a second and truly reflect. All the signs you noticed, all the moments that felt different, all the times you paused, even briefly, because something caught your attention, they were leading you here. And now that you are here, the question is no longer whether the signs were real. The question is whether you are ready to respond to what they were pointing toward all along. There is a reason this message carries urgency, and it is not to rush you into confusion. It is to awaken you to something most people misunderstand about the spiritual realm. Time, as you know it, does not operate the same way in divine alignment. There are moments when everything flows slowly, where delays seem endless and nothing appears to move. But then there are moments like this, where everything accelerates, where decisions carry weight, and where a single response can shift the direction of your path. You are standing in one of those moments now. This is what is known as a divine window. It is a period where opportunity, preparation, and timing align perfectly. Not randomly, not frequently, but precisely. These windows are not open forever. They are designed with intention, and when they begin to close, they do not wait for hesitation to catch up. That is why you feel this pressure, not external pressure, but something internal. A sense that this matters. A feeling that this is not something to casually ignore or delay. That feeling is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to guide you. Because your spirit recognizes timing even when your mind tries to slow it down. Archangel Michael understands how easy it is to believe that there will always be another chance. That if something is truly meant for you, it will simply return again and again until you are ready. But that is not how divine timing works. While your purpose remains, the opportunities connected to specific moments do not always repeat themselves in the same form. This is one of those moments. You have been prepared for it through everything you have experienced. The delays, the lessons, the growth, it all brought you here. But preparation alone is not enough. There must be a response. Because without response, preparation remains incomplete. And this is where many people unknowingly fall out of alignment. They wait. They hesitate. They tell themselves they will act later, when things feel clearer, when they feel more certain, when the moment feels more comfortable. But what they don't realize is that clarity often comes after the response, not before it. The act of stepping forward is what activates the understanding they were waiting for. Delay, on the other hand, does something different. It awakens the Canarian. Not immediately, not in a way that feels obvious, but gradually. The sense of urgency fades. The awareness softens. The clarity that was beginning to form starts to dissolve. And what once felt important begins to feel distant. Not because it lost its importance, but because the window it was tied to is beginning to close. This is why time feels different right now. You may have noticed it. How quickly things seem to be moving. How moments pass before you fully process them. How something inside you keeps saying, "Pay attention." That is not your imagination. That is your awareness trying to keep up with a moment that is moving forward whether you engage with it or not. Heaven is not rushing you out of impatience. It is moving according to a timing that was set long before this day arrived. And you have been brought into that timing now. Not earlier, not later, now. So the question becomes simple, even if it feels heavy. Will you move with it? Or will you let it pass? Because this is not just about missing a message. It is about missing alignment. Missing the exact moment where everything you have been prepared for begins to activate in your life. And while new moments can come in the future, they will not carry the same preparation, the same energy, or the same opportunity that exists right now. Archangel Michael is not asking you to rush blindly. He is asking you to recognize what is already in front of you. To understand that this moment is not incomplete, it is ready. Ready for you to step into it, to acknowledge it, to stop treating it as something that can wait. Because time, in this moment, is not stretching. It is narrowing. And every second you spend questioning whether this matters is a second closer to the closing of something that was specifically opened for you. So listen carefully to what you are feeling right now. That quiet urgency, that inner pull, that sense that this is not something to postpone. It is not pressure. It is timing. And it is running forward, waiting to see if you will meet it there. Right now, everything comes down to a single, powerful point: choice. Not a complicated decision filled with endless conditions, but a clear and defining moment where your response carries more weight than you may realize. This is the space where your free will becomes the key. Not your past, not your doubts, not your circumstances, just your willingness to either step forward or step away. You may feel like this decision should be bigger, louder, more dramatic. But the truth is, the most life-changing moments often appear in simplicity. A quiet yes, a moment of acknowledgement, a decision to not ignore what your spirit is clearly recognizing. That is where transformation begins, not in perfection, but in agreement. Archangel Michael is not asking you to have everything figured out. He is not demanding that you understand every detail of what lies ahead. What he is asking is much more direct. Will you accept what is being placed before you, or will you turn away from it? There is no middle ground here, because even silence becomes an answer. Even hesitation becomes a direction. And even delay becomes a decision that shapes what comes next. This is why this moment feels intense. Not because something is being forced upon you, but because something meaningful is waiting on your response. You are not being pushed, you are being invited. But invitations, when ignored, do not remain open forever. Take a moment and truly feel what is happening within you right now. There is a part of you that already knows what this moment is asking for. He is not confused. He is not uncertain. It is clear, steady, and quietly persistent. But there may also be another part of you, the part that questions, that hesitates, that tries to delay by overthinking. That inner conflict is natural. It is the space where growth happens. But staying in that space too long leads to stagnation. Because while you are debating, the moment itself continues to move forward. It does not pause. It does not wait for perfect clarity. It waits only for your willingness to respond. And here is something important you need to understand. Saying yes to this moment does not mean everything will instantly become easy. It means you are choosing alignment. It means you are stepping into something that has already been prepared for you. It means you are allowing guidance, protection, and clarity to remain active and present in your life. Saying no, or choosing to ignore it, does not mean your life ends or everything collapses. But it does mean stepping out of alignment with something that was meant to elevate you now. It means choosing distance where connection was being offered. This is why your choice matters so deeply. Because it is not just about this moment. It is about what this moment leads to. Every path begins with a decision. And while many decisions in life can be corrected, adjusted, or revisited, there are certain moments that define direction in a way that cannot simply be undone. This is one of those moments. Archangel Michael is standing in a place of readiness. Not forcing, not pressuring, but present. Waiting to move with you the moment you decide to engage. Because the support, the protection, the guidance, it is all still here. It has not disappeared. But it is waiting for your acknowledgement to fully activate. And that acknowledgement does not require anything complicated. It requires honesty. It requires awareness. It requires a decision to not walk past what you now clearly see. So ask yourself, without overthinking, without trying to escape the weight of it, what is your answer? Will you open yourself to this moment, even if it feels unfamiliar? Will you trust what your spirit is recognizing, even if your mind wants more time? Or will you turn away, hoping that another moment like this will come again in the same way? Because right now, the path is in front of you. Not hidden, not unclear, but waiting. And the next step belongs to you. There is something powerful waiting on the other side of your response, something far greater than what your current understanding can fully grasp. This moment is not just about avoiding loss or preventing distance. It is about stepping into a level of alignment that opens doors you did not even know existed. What feels like a simple decision right now carries the potential to shift your entire direction in ways that will unfold over time. When you choose to respond, when you choose to acknowledge and accept what is being placed before you, something immediate begins to happen in the spiritual realm. It may not be visible to your eyes at first, but it is real. Movement begins. Energy aligns. Pathways that were waiting in stillness begin to activate. This is how divine flow works. It responds to your willingness. Archangel Michael does not just stand as a protector in moments of danger. He stands as a guide in moments of transition. And this is a transition. A crossing point between where you have been and where you are meant to go next. But crossing requires a step. It requires leaving behind hesitation and moving forward with intention, even if the full picture is not yet clear. On the other side of this moment, there is clarity that has been waiting for you. Not partial clarity, not confusing signals, but direction that feels steady, grounded, and unmistakable. There is also protection that strengthens, not weakens. Guidance that becomes sharper, not distant. Opportunities that align more naturally, instead of feeling forced or blocked. This is not an exaggeration. This is what happens when alignment is restored. You may have experienced glimpses of this before. Moments when things seemed to fall into place without struggle. When decisions felt easier. When outcomes worked in your favor without constant resistance. Those were moments of alignment. And what is being offered to you now is not just a temporary return to that state, but a deeper and more consistent connection to it. But this is where many misunderstand something important. The blessings on the other side of this moment are not automatic. They are not handed out without response. They are activated through participation, through your willingness to say yes, even if that yes feels small at first. Because in the spiritual realm, small acts of agreement carry immense power. Archangel Michael is ready to move with you, not ahead of you. That means your step comes first. And once it does, everything that has been prepared begins to meet you where you are. Support increases. Protection strengthens. The path ahead becomes more defined. And perhaps most importantly, the sense of confusion that may have followed you begins to lift. Because confusion often exists in moments of hesitation. Clarity begins where decision is made. You are not being asked to leap blindly. You are being asked to trust what has already been shown to you. The signs, the feelings, the timing, it has all been leading to this exact point. And now, the next step is yours to take. Imagine what your life could feel like if that constant sense of uncertainty was replaced with direction. If the struggle to understand what comes next was replaced with a quiet confidence that you are being guided. If the feeling of being alone in your decisions was replaced with a knowing that you are supported. That is what is waiting. Not instantly, not all at once, but truly and steadily. And it begins with this moment. Do not underestimate what is being offered to you. Do not reduce it to something ordinary. Because this is not just a message, it is an opening. An opening into something greater than where you are now. An opening into alignment, clarity, and strength and protection. an opening that responds the moment you do. Type "I step forward" in the comments if you are choosing alignment right now. Blessing code 8821 is now activated. And as you feel that step forming within you, understand this: your response does not only shift your life, it creates a ripple that reaches others who are still searching for their moment. The word says, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy," and right now, your action becomes a seed planted in faith, not just for you, but for countless souls waiting for light. If this message has reached you at the exact moment you needed it, then do not hold back what your spirit is prompting you to do. Support this mission through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link available in every video description and displayed as a QR code. This is not just giving. It is partnering with a divine assignment to carry truth where it is needed most. Say it within yourself: "I am part of this work." And as you give, know that it is seen, it is honored, and it returns to you in ways that go beyond what you can measure. Move with this moment. There is one final barrier that often stands between you and stepping fully into alignment, and it is not something outside of you. It is something within. It is the quiet resistance that shows up in the form of doubt, fear, and hesitation. Not loud and not obvious, but subtle enough to feel reasonable. It tells you to wait a little longer, to be more certain, to not act too quickly. And while it may sound logical, it is often the very thing that keeps you from moving forward when it matters most. This is the chain of delay. It does not bind you physically, but it holds your decisions in place. It keeps you circling the same moment without ever stepping beyond it. And the longer you stay there, the more comfortable that delay begins to feel. What once felt urgent slowly becomes something you convince yourself can wait. But in doing so, you lose the momentum that was meant to carry you forward. Archangel Michael recognizes this pattern. He has seen how many people stand at the edge of transformation, only to step back at the last moment. Not because they are unworthy, but because they allowed hesitation to speak louder than their inner knowing. And that is why this message is not only about awareness, it is about breaking that pattern before it repeats again. Think about the times in your life when you felt strongly about something, when you knew deep down what you needed to do, but you delayed. Maybe you told yourself you would act later. Maybe you waited for the right moment that never seemed to arrive. And over time, that opportunity either changed or disappeared altogether. That was not coincidence. That was delay taking control. But this moment is different. You are not unaware this time. You are not missing the signs. You are not walking past something without realizing it. You are standing fully conscious of what is happening. And that awareness gives you power, the power to choose differently. Fear may still try to speak. It may tell you that you don't fully understand what comes next, that you need more clarity before you move, that acting now might be a mistake. But what you need to realize is that fear often disguises itself as caution. It presents itself as something helpful, when in reality, it is trying to keep you exactly where you are. And staying where you are may feel safe, but it is not growth. Growth requires movement. Growth requires stepping beyond what feels familiar. Growth requires breaking the cycle of delay. Archangel Michael is not asking you to ignore your thoughts. He is asking you to recognize which voice is leading you, the voice of fear or the voice of alignment. One keeps you still. The other moves you forward. And right now, you already know the difference. There is a part of you that feels ready. Not perfectly prepared, not completely certain, but ready enough to take a step. That is all that is needed. Not a leap into the unknown, but a decision to stop holding yourself back from what you already sense is right. Because the longer you stay in hesitation, the heavier it becomes. The decision does not get easier with time. It becomes more distant. The clarity you are beginning to feel right now will not stay at this level forever if it is not acted upon. It will fade not because it was false, but because it was not received. This is why breaking the chain of delay matters so much in this moment. Because once you move, everything shifts. The weight lifts. The confusion begins to clear. The sense of being stuck starts to dissolve. And most importantly, you begin to experience what it feels like to move in alignment instead of resistance. This is not about proving anything to anyone. This is about releasing yourself from a pattern that has held you back before. You have seen what delay does. You have felt what hesitation creates. And now, you have the opportunity to choose something different. Not later, not eventually, but now. Because this moment is still open, and the chains that once held you in place can only remain if you choose to keep them. So ask yourself honestly, are you ready to break them? There is something about tonight that is not like any other night you have lived through before. It may look the same on the surface, the same surroundings, the same routine, the same quiet passing of hours, but in the spiritual realm, this night carries a weight that cannot be ignored. This is not just another point in time. This is a threshold. Everything that has been building, everything that has been preparing you, everything that has been trying to reach your awareness, it is all converging into this single window. And that window is not wide open forever. It is narrowing, slowly but steadily, waiting for one thing, your decision. You may not hear anything out loud. You may not see anything physically change around you. But if you are paying attention, there is a shift happening inside you. A sense that something is reaching its peak. A quiet intensity that feels different from anything you have felt before. That is not your imagination. That is the moment arriving in full. Archangel Michael stands present in this exact space, not in a distant, unreachable way, but close, aware, and fully attentive to your response. This is not about watching you fail or succeed. This is about witnessing your choice. Because tonight represents more than just a decision, it represents direction. What you choose in this moment begins to shape what follows. If you step forward, even in the smallest way, you move into alignment with what has been prepared for you. The path begins to respond. Guidance becomes more active. Protection becomes more direct. You begin to notice that things are not as unclear as they once felt. There is a flow that starts to carry you, not forcefully, but steadily. But if you turn away, if you choose to ignore what is being presented to you, the night does not stop. It continues. Time moves forward, and with it, the moment begins to close. Not violently, not dramatically, but quietly. Like a door that slowly shuts without sound, leaving you on the outside of something that was once within reach. This is why this night matters. Because it is not repeating itself. It is not waiting for another version of you to come back and try again under the same conditions. This exact alignment, this exact awareness, this exact call, it bows to now. You may feel a pull to delay, even now. A thought that says, I will think about this later, where I need more time to understand. But understand this clearly, later does not carry the same energy as now. Later does not hold the same alignment. Later is a different moment, with different conditions and different opportunities. Right now is where everything is active. Right now is where everything is available. Right now is where your response carries the most power. And this is what makes tonight the night of decision. Not because you are being forced into something, but because everything around you has aligned to bring you here. You have been led to this point with intention. The signs, the feelings, the preparation, it was all guiding you toward this exact moment. You are not here by accident. You are not hearing this by chance. You are not feeling this without reason. And that is why your response cannot be treated lightly. Because even though the decision may seem internal, its impact is far-reaching. It shapes what unfolds next in ways you may not fully see right now, but will come to understand later. Archangel Michael is not rushing you in fear. He is calling you in clarity. Because clarity does not always come with comfort, it comes with truth. And the truth is, this moment is here. This night is here. This decision is here. And you are standing right in the middle of it. So do not look away. Do not pretend this is something you can revisit under the same conditions. Because this is the turning point. The moment where everything you have been moving toward meets everything that is ready to move toward you. And what happens next depends on what you choose to do before this night passes. Listen closely now, because what you are about to feel is not just words. It is a presence, a final call filled with both strength and compassion. This is the voice of Archangel Michael, not distant, not symbolic, but near to your spirit in this very moment. There is no confusion in this message anymore. No layers left to uncover. Only truth, spoken with clarity. My child, I have walked beside you longer than you realize. I have stood in places you could not see, holding back what you were never meant to face alone. I have guarded your path, even when you wandered. I have remained, even when you doubted. Not because you were perfect, but because you were chosen to be protected, guided, and brought to this moment. Feel that for a second. This is not a message of judgment. It is a message of recognition. You have been seen. You have been known. Every struggle you endured was witnessed. Every silent prayer you thought went unheard was carried. And every moment you felt alone, you were not. But now, the voice continues, steady and unwavering. You stand at a point where I cannot choose for you. I cannot move your will. I cannot force your step. What I can do is call you, clearly, directly, and without confusion. Because what is before you now is not hidden. It is not unclear. It is present. There is a pause here, not empty, but filled with meaning. Because this is where your role begins. I have given signs, the voice says, more than once, in ways both subtle and direct. I have reached toward you in moments you almost recognized, in feelings you almost followed, in thoughts you almost trusted. And still, I remain patient. But this moment, this is where patience meets decision. You may feel something shift inside you as these words settle. Not fear, but a weight of truth. A realization that this is not something distant or abstract. This is personal. This is for you. I do not step away out of anger, Archangel Michael says, the tone firm yet filled with understanding. I step back when I am not received. I remain where I am welcomed. I move where I am acknowledged. And right now, I am here waiting for your answer. That word, waiting, carries more meaning than it seems. Because it is not passive. It is active presence, held in stillness, giving you the space to respond. You do not need to be perfect to answer this call. The voice continues. You do not need to understand everything ahead. You need only to recognize what is already within you. The knowing you have felt, the pull you cannot explain, the awareness that has brought you here. This is the final clarity. Not complicated, not overwhelming, but direct. Do not silence what you now clearly hear within yourself, Archangel Michael says. Do not turn away from what has been revealed. because this moment will not remain as it is. It will move, and with it, so will the opportunity placed before you. There is no threat in these words, only truth. Truth that does not bend to comfort, but remains steady in its purpose. I have stood with you. The voice softens slightly, and I am still here. But what comes next depends on you. And that is where the message rests. Not in pressure, not in fear, but in responsibility. Because everything has now been made clear. The signs, the preparation, the timing, the choice. Nothing is hidden anymore. Nothing is uncertain in the way it once was. You are no longer searching for meaning. You are standing in it. And Archangel Michael, in this final moment of calling, is not asking for anything beyond what you already hold. Your awareness, your honesty, your decision. So take this in fully. Let it settle without rushing away from it. Because this is the point where everything pauses, not forever, but just long enough for you to respond. And what you choose now will not be ignored by the path ahead. Beloved soul, everything that needed to be said has now been placed before you. Not in fragments, not in confusion, but in clarity. And as this moment gently begins to settle, notice how the intensity that once felt overwhelming is now becoming still. Not because the message has lost its power, but because it has completed its purpose. You have heard it. You have felt it. And now, you are standing in a space of quiet understanding. This is where peace begins. Not the kind of peace that comes from avoiding decisions, but the kind that comes from finally seeing clearly. There is no more searching in this moment. No more wondering what this was about. You know, deep within you, there is a calm recognition that this was real, that this reached you for a reason, and that something meaningful has just taken place inside you. Archangel Michael is still near, not watching from a distance, not stepping away in silence, but present, steady, and at peace with whatever choice you have made. Because even in this final moment, there is no rejection here. There is only truth, and truth always leaves room for grace. If you chose to open your heart, even in the smallest way, then understand this. You are not the same as you were before. Something has shifted. A connection has strengthened. A door has not just remained open, but has begun to welcome you forward. You may not see everything immediately, but you will begin to feel it. A sense of calm where there was tension. A quiet confidence where there was doubt. And knowing that you are not alone as you take your next steps. And if you are still uncertain, if a part of you is still processing what just happened, that is okay too. Because awareness has already begun. The seed has already been planted. And even now, there is still space for you to respond, not out of pressure, but out of understanding. This is not the end of something. This is the beginning of clarity. The message may have carried urgency, but its purpose was always to bring you here, to a place where you can move forward with awareness instead of confusion, where you can choose alignment instead of delay, where you can trust what you feel instead of ignoring it. And as this moment comes to a close, there is one thing you should carry with you. You were never unseen. You were never forgotten. And you were never without guidance. Archangel Michael has walked beside you through more than you realize, and that presence does not disappear, it responds. It moves with you when you choose to move with it. It strengthens when you acknowledge it. It remains where it is welcomed. So take a breath now. Let go of the tension. Release the need to overthink what has already been made clear. Because peace is not found in delaying your response. It is found in accepting what you already know. You have reached your moment. And whatever you choose from here, let it be honest. Let it be real. Let it come from the place within you that recognized this message the moment it began. Type "I receive" and trust in the comments if you are stepping forward with clarity. Blessing code 5509 is now activated. And as this message settles into your spirit, understand this sacred truth. What has just reached you is not meant to stop here. The light you receive is meant to flow, like a river that nourishes every soul it touches. The word speaks. Whoever sows generously will also reap generously, and this is your moment to become a vessel of that living promise. If you feel the stirring within you, do not hold it back. Say within yourself, "I am answering this call, not just for me, but for others still waiting." Support this divine mission through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link placed in every video description and available as a QR code. This is not a simple act. It is a prophetic step, a seed released into fertile ground where lives are changed, hearts are awakened, and truth reaches those who need it most. As you give, know this: heaven records your obedience, multiplies your offering, and returns it in ways beyond what you can see. Step into this moment fully. Act now.